Hello YouTube, Tambrolo here. My weekend project for today is to do a transmission flush. I have a 2007 Ford Focus SE. Doesn't matter what kind of Focus you have, '07, it's the same engine for all of them. So I didn't just want to do a quick take what's out of the pan and top it up. I wanted to do a complete flush as well as a filter change. So the first step was, for me, I went on eBay, picked up a transmission filter kit, which includes the gasket. That's $14 shipped, and so there's my gasket and my filter. And next, according to my manual, I need Mercon 5 automatic transmission fluid. I'm going to need 6.9 quarts, which is 6.6 liters. So I picked up 7 jugs of Mercon 5. So that's all we need for liquids and parts. Changing transmission fluid is well known to be a very messy job, so just for the challenge I thought I'd do it in my own driveway, which is concrete, and I just power washed it clean yesterday. So my goal here is to not spill a drop, and I'm going to show you how I plan to do that. Alright, so now we're looking under the hood, and I'm going to show you what I did as my first step. I pulled out the automatic transmission fluid dipstick, which usually goes right here, and I inserted a siphon hose, which is this one right here, and I fed it down to right here, and here it is. It's been slowly draining for about 20 minutes now. I'm up to probably 1.5 liters, and I'm just going to chill out, make sure the wind doesn't blow the hose around, and let it get as much fluid out as possible, so when I pull out the pan, there'll be less fluid, less chance of a spill. Alright, so here's the end result from siphoning. It took about half an hour. Just let it slowly drain. I have, I would guess, 2 liters, maybe a little more of oil in this pan. From what I hear, half of the transmission fluid is held in the pan at any given time. So there should be maybe just 1 liter left in the pan. I've gotten 2/3 of it out through siphoning. So next step is take off the pan, which should be a lot easier now that a lot of the fluid is out. Alright, now we're going to go under the car. This is the left driver's side wheel, and we're just going to go underneath. And there is our transmission fluid pan. It has a bunch of 8mm bolts surrounding it. Takes very little torque to get them on and off. I believe it's 10 or 12 foot-pounds. I'll check before I put it back on. So these things don't come with drain bolts, and the pan has to come off. So I've just loosened each one, again very easy to do, and I just gave it a minute to see where the oil is going to come from, and it looks like it's coming from this corner. So I know this is the low point. I'm going to slowly take these off and just get it to the point where it's starting to drip. And I will slowly take it off as to not make a mess. I have my pan standing by, and just to play it safe, I did put some cardboard down because I don't want to wreck my nice driveway. So here we go. Again, these bolts come off very easily. It took a very gentle quarter turn to loosen them, and just after a quarter turn, I can now unscrew all of them with my bare fingers. There's very little resistance here, so a very small turn and you can unscrew them all, take your time, and just get to the point where oil starts to drain. Alright, I have 2/3 of all the bolts out, and we've got a nice stream of fluid there. I just wedged a screwdriver in, and when I twist it, the fluid pours out much faster. There we go, and it's all going right in. Actually, I can just feel I cracked it open now, so I think the gasket seal is broken most of the way around, and pouring out nicely. There we go. Look at that. So far so good. This is not difficult at all. Alright, so the pan is now completely off. I actually did splash a little bit, so I'm glad I swallowed my pride and put cardboard down, because there was a little bit of splashing that happened, but not a whole lot. There's none on the concrete. Everything's good. So that's it. The pan's off. A bunch of small bolts. I read that there's a magnet in these usually, and that's probably what this is right here. So I'm going to bring this inside, wipe it down. I'm not going to wash it with water because you do not want any water or minerals or anything in your transmission fluid pan. So just wipe it down with a clean rag. One other step I did was to make sure that I documented which bolt came from where, just in case there were various lengths. On my car, they're all the identical length. So FYI to everyone with a 2007 Focus or similar generation, you don't have to worry about bolt placement. They're all exactly the same. Alright, so here's my pan all nice and clean. I took it inside and wiped it all down, both sides. Might as well clean the exterior too, don't be a slob. Take the 30 seconds. I noticed that the circle here is a magnet. There's the magnet. If you pry it off, you can actually pop it right off and give it a wipe down. Very strong magnet. It just pops right on there. And definitely not going anywhere. Very strong. So there we go. From the factory, they don't actually use a gasket. They just use some rubber sealant. So I had to scrape all this off as best I could, which did get some tiny little rubber particles in here. So as a little precaution, I'm going to dip my rag in some old tranny fluid and just wipe it down. Better to have a little bit of old rather than some little rubber bits floating around. So one last wipe down, and then I'm going to get the screws, put this back on. I'm getting ahead of myself. We can't put the pan back on yet, of course. We still have to change the filter. First, I'm going to get a scraper and just very gently go around the exterior, get off any remaining rubber gasket sealant left from the factory. Get all that off. Alright, I just pulled off the transmission fluid filter, which sits like this. I'm going to reenact it for you. It has an electrical piece here which pulls out very easily, and as soon as I pulled this out, I was rather surprised. It gushed more transmission fluid. Luckily for me, my pan was still here. That was kind of stupid. I should have assumed there was going to be more in there. So that poured out all over my hand and into the pan, so everything is good. But FYI, when you pull out the filter, you can expect to get more fluid coming out. I'm now going to unbag my new transmission fluid filter. It's been in the bag the whole time. Don't take it out ahead, just to keep all the dirt out. So here we go. I'm going to take this out. And just to have a quick comparison, there's the old one. I'm going to make sure that this is in fact the right one. It's the exact same size. I'm not going to turn the old one over because more oil is going to come out. This looks to be correct. It actually has a number on it, PA66GF33, which is exactly the same as the old one. So we are good. Alright, it's now time to install the new filter. We're just going to place it right there. Give it a bit of a push. It should, oh, there we go. There's one hole there, one hole there. They line up. Give it a push and it fits in fairly snug. And put this piece back in like so. Give that a little wiggle, make sure it's in tight. I don't actually know what that piece is or what it does, but I'm going to put it back exactly the same as the old one, and we shouldn't have a problem. Now the pan is really ready to go back on, so here's my gasket all unfolded. I'll line this up. It will only fit on in one particular way, and that's the way it goes on. So my gasket fits. Let's get this screwed back in. And there we are. One pan cleaned up, new gasket, back on with the new filter. Okay, I've now poured all the transmission fluid I've collected into a spare bottle. This is just a motor oil jug, holds about 4 liters. And I can see from the indicator mark that we have collected just shy of 3 liters of transmission fluid. Manual says 6.6 liters, so there's still just over 3.6 liters of transmission fluid in the car that was not sitting in the pan. So we've gotten less than half of it out. The next step will show how to get the rest of it out. Just under 3 liters came out, so I'm going to put that back in. Each jug is actually just shy of a liter, so that seems about right. 3 jugs of this will go back in, replacing what we've already taken out. So let's get the other 3+ liters of transmission fluid out of the car. I'm sitting right by the driver's side front wheel, and if you look under here, I've already pulled the hose off, and you can see right here I pulled it right out, so I wanted to show you what it looks like. It's very hard to get out. You have to pull on it, squeeze the 2 tabs, pull it out. Took a while, a lot of frustration, but I managed to get it off. I then took some hose. I've got all sorts of different types of hose laying around. It's always handy for siphoning, and you never know what else. I stuck that hose to the radiator, and that's the radiator return. So when I start the car, the old transmission fluid is going to pump out and right into my catch pan. As soon as it changes color into something translucent, I'll turn off the car and top up again. I should be done. Alright, I'm pouring new fluid in. Meanwhile, old fluid is pouring out. And that's pretty much it. I just keep pouring the new stuff in while the old stuff comes out. When the color changes, I'll shut off the car. So there's 1 liter in, I've poured. Here's 2 liters. Watching the fluid color. Actually, it's starting to look better. I'm going to turn it off pretty quick here. Yeah, now it's looking red. So I'm going to turn it off. We see the end of the line. It's turned cherry red. So I know I've pumped out enough. And there we go. So that is done. I've now pulled off my hose from the radiator, and I'm just holding it with my thumb. And you can see here I have very clean fluid. Hold it up to the light, and it's quite clean. You can see at the bottom of the hose, it's not quite so clean. So that's it. I'm done. I reconnected the return hose just behind the driver's side front left wheel. Ran the car for a bit. I checked the fluid level under the hood a few times, made sure it was just right, and I'm done. In total, it cost me a filter and gasket kit. You can get those for about 14 bucks. And 7 jugs of transmission fluid. They were a little under $5 a jug. So in total, I spent under $50 for this. A shop offered to do it for me for about $250. I did it for $50, saved $200. I hope this is helpful.